Hi, good morning. Thanks for joining me today.
Yes, thanks so much for having me.
So today we've got Katie here and we'll get into a little bit about what she does, but I wanted to introduce the new kindness series that we're kicking off, which is to try and feature people in the community doing amazing things. Also focusing on social equity and areas of social justice where we can empower each other to be better at networking and connecting and getting together with the community. And I actually met Katie through a networking group, which is amazing. And, not very often does someone agree to meet up and you end up clicking that well, and found out that she is in real estate. And I think that's such a overwhelming process for so many people. So I wanted to have you first just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got into it, if you would, please.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I'm Katie. I am 3.5 years old, is what I like to say, in Denver. I moved here from Minnesota, and I am loving every minute of it. I actually purchased a home myself December of 2019 and had no idea what the process was. There's a lot of terminology and jargon that is just brand new to me, and I just kind of trusted my real estate agent and just nodded my head along. And so, what I want to do with people that are interested in working with me is connect with them, find out how much they know about the market and how much they know about the home buying process, and help educate them along the way. I truly feel like I want to be a really useful resource for them and not just use real estate jargon and terminology that doesn't make sense. And so, my background in Denver was an event planner, and I worked for a catering company. So I would work with a client from start to finish. So, for example, like during weddings, brides and grooms would come in and do a tasting with us, and I would explain the entire process of the timeline and the rentals and the cake vendors and DJs. And I would connect all of these different resources together to make one big, huge event. And one of my proudest moments was going to that event and seeing this is what I created and this is what I had my hands on, and I'm creating something super memorable for them that they're going to remember for the rest of their life. So, because of COVID and the pandemic, I was let go in June, unfortunately, but I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. And so, after spending a couple days, a couple weeks actually, knowing that I had my dream job, there's a reason why I was let go. And it's because I got to do, I'm actually getting goosebumps right now, but I actually got to have a fresh start and decide what career I still wanted to, or a new career in that, how do I say this? I
Your
still wanted to make, oh, what's that?
your passion. You still want to help
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to be someone that people can come to for questions, and that I can help, and also have it be like rewarding for me as well as for them. So, real estate's always been in the back of my mind, but I never had a reason to kind of pull the trigger and go into that career. It's something that I didn't have exposure in other than purchasing a home myself. So, I'm so happy that I just got my real estate license mid-December, and I joined the brokerage that I work for now, end of December. So I'm about 3 months old in real estate, and I'm loving it so far. And I'm doing trainings and webinars and constantly learning and improving myself. There's not one thing that I'm going to say like, oh, I'm not interested in. I want to be just a resource of knowledge for everybody in every aspect of life. So that's my background.
I love it. I think it's amazing how proactive you're being at also making sure that you're addressing the market's needs. You're not just taking everything at face value. It seems like more than, of course, wanting to launch into a new career and a new passion that brings you fulfillment, you're bringing your past experience into that role. So it's not like you're a novice in this world, so to speak. One, you've gone through the process. You're well endowed on that, but also you've got so much experience with project management and driving things to closure, meeting deadlines within a high stress environment where you don't have a choice to push it back or delay things. It's like you need to get it done. And in this market, when people are moving so fast, or you got to close within that month, or you can feel assured that you're somebody that's actually really task oriented at driving those things and taking that stress away from that client so that they don't have that strain and worry on themselves. It's already such a stressful process.
Yeah, my last position as the event coordinator, I my fun title was the organized optimizer. And so I love color coding. I love being organized. I love having a full plate and just being able to delegate tasks when needed and prioritize. Like that's one of my huge strengths. And so I feel like this is a really great industry that you do have to meet deadlines. And if you don't, you could essentially lose a sale. So I feel like that's definitely a trait from my past career that I am bringing in, just exactly what you just said.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned that you're from Minnesota. So having moved here, you've also got that unique experience. I'm somebody who grew up in Denver, so I'm a lifer, it feels like. But I forget, like when you go and look at all the areas of Denver, there's so many different areas depending on where you're coming from for what your comfort level is of being close to the city or having that suburban life and whatnot. So can you talk or tell me a little bit about how that process was for you moving here? What are those things that you think would translate well to people that are moving from out of state to Colorado that you'd be able to help with?
Yeah. So I was always a city girl and I wanted to be as close to downtown as possible. Well, after moving here, I realized like downtown isn't what I know it as from where I'm from. So if you live downtown Minneapolis, there's all sorts of bars and restaurants to walk to, but there's also surrounding neighborhoods similar to Denver. And so, but yeah, I wanted to live in high rises right downtown. I moved to Capitol Hill and then I started looking for a condo because that's what I thought I wanted. But then I was starting to explore other neighborhoods and I was like, oh my gosh, like Barnum or Sloan's Lake is actually a really cool area. Like Highlands is amazing. And yeah, there's all these like little pockets. And so I've had my experiences with those places. And so now I can share those with other people that are looking in areas too. And it turns out I ended up getting a house after going to a friend's place. They had a shed and I'm totally a do-it-yourself girl. And with a shed, you have kind of an outdoor workspace. And so I was just like, oh my God, well, maybe I don't need a condo because where am I going to do all my projects? Where am I going to keep everything like woodworking tools and all sorts of things? So I decided to get a house instead. And I'm so excited that I decided that. So going from apartment living downtown, like I know parking can be a nightmare. And then if you live a little bit on the outskirts, you can have, a garage or off-street parking, which is like unheard of or very, very expensive if you do that, like kind of the downtown area. So, but yeah, now it's my task to kind of visit those different neighborhoods and find out what is positive about those areas, where bars and restaurants and grocery stores are, what vicinity these places are to highways that are common commuting. I have actually a girl that is in Minnesota moving here in end of April. And she's like, oh, well, I'm going to be working in DTC. I think I should probably look in Thornton. Well, if you know the area of Denver, goodness, no, don't. If you're working from home, sure. But with all the traffic, like,
yeah,
not going to recommend that. Let's look in Inglewood. Let's look, it's little things like that I feel just me venturing out. And I love to network and socialize and just be out in the community. I think that's super advantageous for prospective buyers so that I can recommend good neighborhoods that are in vicinity for where they're going to be working and living and what they want to do.
And with a fresh set of eyes. I think Denver has evolved so much. I mean, when I think of certain areas that traditionally maybe were a little bit, more run down or whatever, it's like they've had this total resurgence. And so you're really seeing these new areas of interest pop up that are really cool depending on, your demographic or areas of interest. So I think that's really cool that you can cater to that with that fresh set of eyes to help people, having come from here and kind of seeing how Denver's evolved.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So I know you mentioned that you're working for a certain brokerage, but how can we get a hold of you? Or if people are interested in working with you, what's the next step? What do they need to do?
Yeah, definitely. I am very social media present. I am on Facebook always. Facebook Messenger is really a lot of places that I'm finding people that are interested in homes. I post on Instagram a lot as well. I'm finding that Instagram, there aren't as many people that are interested reaching out via Instagram. I feel like people are most present on Facebook. And so that's definitely a channel. My cell phone number, my email address, like any way that anyone wants to get a hold of me, I always ask what their preference for communication is so that I can cater to them. So if they would prefer texting, let's do that. If they want to email back and forth, let's do that. So very social media present. So if anyone wants to get a hold of me, like I'm happy to give out my cell phone to anyone.
Okay, great. So we'll definitely send out your information with the interview and whatnot. But is there anything else that you'd like to tell the Denver community?
Sure. I'm so excited to get started, honestly. Like I've met some people, they're like, oh, I'm a real estate agent, or oh, I do this. And then they kind of change the subject right away. And it's like, no, no, no. I want to find out more about why you chose that path and what motivates you to go to work every day. My last company, actually, it was always do what you love. That was one of their mission statements. And I truly feel like I think it's so cheesy, but if you do what you love, you're not really working. And I know it's really cheesy, but I love what I do, and I put my heart and soul into learning and expanding and growing. And I'm not going to know all of the answers. I'm new for one. With real estate, there's always continuing education, and you will never know everything. I know that one of our managing brokers, she's still learning too, even though she's teaching 100 people all these different things and hosting her own webinars. But the difference between me not knowing these things and maybe some other people is that I will find out the answer. And I'm excited to do that. So I'm never going to tell you like, oh, I don't know. Good luck. I am going to find out the answer.
Like you said, you've got a great firm that you're working with. You've got a great support system. And so you've got those resources as you're diving in. You're being trained by the best of the best as you're diving in, which is great.
Exactly. Yep.
So I know we talked a little bit about how that ties into kindness, but I think when you're looking at just being present with your community and looking at how you can enact eco and social conscious change, it ties into exactly what you said. It's you're working with your community because you care, because you want to make those connections with those people. You want to create those long-lasting relationships so that you can continue to be that resource. And it's that consciousness of the why that you're doing it that's going to drive that success. And I think the success of how you win those contracts for your clients, because that translates into everything you do. So I think if there's one takeaway from speaking with you, that would be the biggest thing that's shown for me is just that you really are willing to go that extra mile for your clients and that they can expect that at every turn.
Yeah, I feel like building that rapport and that trust is super important so that I can help guide and have them feel comfortable with the entire process. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Well, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. I'm excited to get you out in the community and hopefully connect a lot more in the future.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.